This video is brought to you by O'Sullivan Law and Ryder Justice. Check them out in the link below.
Tommy, what kind of strange comparison have you created for us today?
Well, Case, I need to make a trip to the hardware store, so I thought we'd bring our 93-year-old Ford and compare it to the new one to see which one is more useful.
Sure, I think that makes sense.
All right, let's go hit it. So, Case, this is the myth, the legend, the Ford Model T, the car, or in this case, truck, that single-handedly mobilized America. And what year is this guy?
I want to say 1927. We have quite a few old Fords, don't we, Tommy?
I want to say you're correct. This is a 1927, final year of the Model T. And to compare how things have changed, we brought along a new Ford Ranger.
Yeah, which is made not out of wood, but out of aluminum.
Exactly. So we're going to see, is the new truck more useful than the old one? Got to go pick up some insulation and some wood. Let's go hit it. These Model T videos were more fun when it was warm.
Yeah, we picked a magnificent day to do this at 50 degrees.
It's going to be in the 40s here in the next few minutes.
I'm wearing a paper-thin sweater I bought off of Instagram.
Do you want a coat? I have an extra coat.
It's fine. I actually have thermals on under this.
Oh, very cool.
Skiing.
Should we roll up the window?
Yeah,
What's up?
Turn on the heater.
Eh?
It's the slowest cranking vehicle known to man.
Oh, come on.
Then again, it probably idles at 100 RPM.
How fast do you need it to crank? It's flooded it now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Sounds good.
So, Case, we have an epic 16-mile trip to the hardware store and back.
I don't know if we'll make it.
I don't know if we'll make it either. This car's lasted 93 years. It'll make it another 25 minutes.
Yeah, well, honestly, after going up Pikes Peak in this car, I'm not sure I'm afraid of anything.
It is amazing how durable these old Fords are.
Oh, yeah, the tolerances are so forgiving with this vehicle. And the things required for it to run well enough to get you home is next to nothing.
Nothing.
If you have the slightest hint of fuel and a little bit of air, as we proved at the top of Pikes Peak,
And almost no compression.
it will run.
And the great thing, too, is you can run them on anything, right?
Anything vaguely flammable.
Got some
which is
kerosene.
basically what passed for gas back in the day.
You got some moonshine. We actually get this comment a lot. You know, used oils with zinc in them, right?
Yeah.
This car came out long before oil even had zinc in it.
Yeah, if you had something that had the slightest of lubricating properties, like a little bit better than olive oil, then this would be fine.
I think even olive oil might cut the mustard. Our videographer is driving this truck in front of us in quite the sporty manner.
Well, to be fair, the Ranger Raptor he's driving is tuned up to 455 horsepower and 536 pound-feet of torque. So he might not be quite familiar with the performance specs on our Model T truck here, which are 20?
20, 25 by 27 maybe. You had a little bit more power.
When new.
Yeah, and a 2-speed planetary gear manual transmission. If you need to drive at 22 miles an hour, there's no better vehicle than the Ford Model T.
Yeah, so long as it's not too warm of a day, because especially at our altitude, these Model Ts like to overheat a lot, often.
The problem is if you need to drive at 25 miles an hour, there are probably better cars than the Model T.
Now, for the folks online who take everything we say extremely literally, you can drive more than 25 mile an hour in a Model T. In fact, we're doing that right now.
Yeah, in fact, this car is a pretty happy little old truck.
Yeah.
And it'll happily do between 40 and maybe 43 miles an hour on a flat surface.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's a hill,
That's
you're going to be doing 32 miles an hour. But genuinely, I mean, they're really happy cars at around 40 miles per hour. If you want to do over 45, though, you're going to want to look elsewhere.
I think today we're going to be speed limited by the temperature that we want to endure.
It's not going to be a problem with the car, it's going to be a problem with ourselves, huh?
Yeah, and to this vehicle's credit, on a really nice day, I'd probably rather be in it than the Ranger Raptor because this top folds back. But we don't have side windows, let alone a heater. That's out of the question.
It's wild to think that this car came out in 1908, and by 1927, Ford still had not put a heater in the car.
I know.
What are they doing?
Damn it.
What are you doing for 20 years?
Yeah, not a ton. Although this 1927 Model T is quite a bit more advanced than our 1915 Model T. It's got steel wheels. It's got more substantial brakes. It's got a couple nice things. The electric starter goes a long way.
That's a nice thing, yeah? It doesn't need kerosene for the headlights anymore.
No, which is also pretty
It's also
cool.
a very nice thing. So Ford did evolve these cars from 1908 through 1927, and they actually look pretty different.
Yeah.
This car's got a much taller radiator, it's got much swoopier fenders. You talked about the wheels.
This almost looks more like a Model A than it does a Model T at this point in the production.
But by 1927, this car was woefully outdated.
Yeah, well, by 1927, as we might be noticing, they hadn't made it quiet yet.
But I hadn't figured out the noise, harshness, and vibration.
And it's not even the motor, it's all of the metal. The car rattles insanely loud.
It's just various bits of metal crashing into other bits of metal. And I'm sure some people in the Ford Model T forum are going to correct me now. But to some extent, I've never seen a Model T that doesn't leak at least a little bit.
It causes me so much stress when anytime this has to slow down.
Cole has made he's got GPS navigation in there.
There's nothing like good old knowledge of the roads around us.
That modern truck's still going in the wrong direction. All right, full throttle. Look, interesting thing about these cars, and we've talked about it a lot before, is they don't drive like modern cars.
No, not at all.
3 pedals, none of them are the gas.
Yeah, in fact, your throttle is here on the steering column, and one of the interesting things about that, one of the nice things about it, is if you're going to be going for a while, you just set the throttle and it goes. So it's almost like cruise control that was missing on Andre's 2-year-old Chevy Colorado. But this has almost a version of that.
What you gotta understand,
nice.
When this car was invented, especially in a more rural community like we are in now in Berthoud, Colorado, you didn't have to deal with stoplights.
Yeah, which is good because stopping is not this car's forte.
Or traffic. So the way you would drive these cars, typically on a dirt road, is you would set them in the direction you want to go, set the throttle, and forget about it.
Yeah.
Just drive it, right?
Now, it is also a fact that people of the past were not as large as people of today. And Tommy and I are not the largest examples of people today. But even so, it's a little tight here in the cab of the Model T truck. We're shoulder to shoulder. It's a good thing that we're not having an argument or anything, because it would be a little unfortunate to have to share this space were we not on friendly terms, you know? It'd be awkward.
You bring up a great point, Case. This thing is incredibly cramped by modern standards. Not even the width, it's the length of the cab. The seat does not adjust at all. It doesn't slide, it doesn't recline. You're just sitting on essentially a metal bench with some padding on it.
Yeah, and the door opening on that side, which was, by the way, a feature on later Model Ts. It's not on our 1915. The door on that side, if you had the parking brake engaged, which you typically will when you go to get out of it, it's right in the middle of that door opening.
Yep, it's true. You can't get in and out of this side very easily at all. You got to go on that side. I mean, and then there's the matter that, like, certain Model Ts did come with closed cabs. I would say the vast majority, though, no weather protection hardly at all. You have a top with an optional window that you can strap in and out, but there's nothing out the sides.
Well, it's a good thing we live in warm and balmy Colorado.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that drove these every day in the summer, and then imagine doing that every day at the end of November and the beginning of December.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Model T in 1927, we did the math. These cars were incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
By 1927, you could pick up a base model Model T for roughly the equivalent of $4,000 or $5,000 brand new in today's money.
Yeah.
They were several $100. That was it. They were super affordable. But basically any car had completely leapfrogged this by the end of the 20s. Chevrolet, Dodge, certainly some of the more luxury brands like Buick or Packard were so far advanced with sliding gear transmissions, 6, 8-cylinder engines, 4-wheel brakes. I mean, this thing was antiquated even by 27 standard.
Now, to this vehicle's credit, this is a marvel of engineering. This is still one of the most important, if not the most important automobile of all time.
Oh, easy.
And we are giving it a little bit of grief, and even by 20 standards, like you're saying, it was getting outdated. But it's still a fantastic thing. This is such a cool vehicle and an experience to drive in today's modern age, especially on modern roads with modern traffic around you. It keeps things interesting, no doubt about that.
I'm giving it grief in the same way I would you say? Oh, G-Wagon.
Slightly nice.
Way from the G-Wagon.
Nice.
Did you see that?
I did. You like?
I give this cow grief in the same way I would give a puppy grief that just peed on the carpet. Like, yes, it's amusing to make fun of, but to your point, Case, it is a truly amazing automobile.
Yeah.
And the amazingness is not in the performance by modern standards. The amazingness is in simply the longevity. I mean, we are operating a vehicle that's 93 years old. This thing has lived through countless wars throughout history, right? It's lived through countless presidents throughout history. And even though it has been restored probably once in its life, it still is running the original engine, the original transmission, the original rear diff. They just will not die. And that is something I think it's fair to say you cannot say about any modern vehicle.
No.
Right? Everything now has an expiration date. These cars were so simple that if you had even the most basic of tools and the simplest of parts on hand, you could keep a Tin Lizzie alive. And that is what America needed in the turn of the century.
Yeah.
And that's what it provided.
Yeah, and it's from an era when people were working on their own vehicles, which is something that also is disappearing as time goes on. But to your point, if any vehicle produced in 2024 is still around in 93 years, running and driving as well as this does, I would be shocked. I'm not sure I'll be around to see that, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And the other thing, too, Case, which you pointed out, which is absolutely true, is in this job, we get to drive some truly special cars. Modern cars, even old cars. We've been fortunate to drive some museum pieces recently. And nothing provides as much fun at 35 miles an hour as a Ford Model T.
Yeah, it's definitely as exciting as these low speeds are ever going to feel, because it's not granted in this vehicle. The 35 mile an hour it's not necessarily a stretch, but you have to be pretty aware as you're doing 35 in this, unlike any modern vehicle.
So this configuration of Model T, the standard car, could have been had in a version called the Roadster Pickup, which was a factory-produced Ford truck that looked very similar to this, but it had a metal bed. Those are actually pretty rare and very valuable, and what we're driving here is very typical of what you see within most of the Model T community when you see pickups. Is this actually started out as a Roadster, but people figured out that Model Ts were a lot more useful if you pulled off the tiny trunk and then built whatever the hell you wanted in the back.
Yeah, while it's not an original truck, this would not be an uncommon thing even back in the day.
No, these were everywhere. And some say that's where the word pickup came from, is that you could actually pick up a catalog and with very simple directions, build your own bed in the back of your Model T. And allegedly that's where pickup would come from, because you pick up the material, so I've been told, to build a bed, right?
That's interesting. I haven't heard that.
Now, some things I'm a little worried about. We need to go pick up some, ideally, foam insulation and some plywood.
Right.
And most folks know that that comes in a pretty standardized size in the US.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 4x8.
4 feet wide by 8 feet long. Now, I was doing some research, and apparently 4x8 sheets of plywood were invented in 1928.
Ah, No way.
And they didn't become popular until the 1930s. So nowadays, every truck, and I think that's fair to say every truck, is designed with the intention of moving 4x8 sheets of plywood.
Yeah.
Like that Ranger, the width between the wheel wells is exactly 4 feet for that reason.
Yeah, and with the tailgate down, it's about 7 feet
Yeah,
to
exactly.
the edge of the tailgate.
Now, I am not convinced that we're going to be able to fit that in this bed, so we're going to have to do some creative crafting.
Yeah, this is not only a narrow vehicle for us to sit in, but it's a little narrow for carrying things around as well. We'll see how it goes.
And then like the delivery trucks that we talked about, the Model TTs, those typically would have had like a flatbed on them, and then you can carry whatever the hell you want, right?
Yeah.
But as it sits, we might have to get a little crafty. So we're in now the adorable downtown of Berthoud, Colorado. I'm going to use my arm signal. And we're going to go ahead and try to visit the local Ace. This is actually a really cool little hardware store here in Berthoud.
I don't know if it's the truck or if it's Berthoud, but it kind of smells like ass, Tommy.
A little bit of both, I think, please.
Oh, look. There we go. So, Tommy, what is it that you're buying plywood and insulation for?
It's a great question, Case. I am renovating a shed.
Yourself?
Yes. It's
Without David's help?
going to be a disaster.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm trying to be better, so we're going to go find some supplies here.
Right, right.
All right, let's see what we got.
Do some Christmas shopping in here. Ooh. What if my sledgehammer should be in here? No, I'm not a murderer. I just need a sledgehammer.
Oh,
yeah,
Case needs
wow.
a hammer.
16 pounds. Oh my God.
Now that's a hammer.
Why can I barely lift 16 pounds? That's embarrassing. 12? Even that might be too much.
8? You going down to 8?
Perfect. Dude, tell me that's not a heavy 8 pounds.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah, no, I think the 8 pounds is going to be perfect.
This is the kind of weight that men in 1927 would swing around like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Want to build a railroad?
We're not men in 1927. Oh, don't hurt yourself.
You think that's
right.
going to do the trick?
Yes.
All right.
I need it to beat up my Land Rover.
I'll go get the paramedics alerted that you got a sledgehammer now. Now look at that. That is some Model T size wood right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our local Ace, and we'd have to go to a bigger store for some real plywood. So I'm thinking what we'll do is we will grab some 2x4s and some various lengths of wood as well.
What's going to be even more fun is watching you carry those.
I'm clearly a pro based on my Harbor Freight gloves and my Craftsman tools. Our Model T series is brought to you by our friend Scott O'Sullivan, who runs O'Sullivan Law Firm in Ryder Justice. He is the go-to guy if you need legal help, and he's just a really big car guy. Definitely check him out using the link below. So we did strike out a little because the local Ace didn't have 4x8s.
I know, it's pretty tragic.
So I think we got these, what are these, 10-foot boards?
Oh, and that also drops all the way down. Let's see. It's big enough for my sledgehammer
Yeah.
and your Craftsman tools.
4.5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are just under 9 feet.
So apparently the truck has improved in some ways.
In some ways it has. Let me put the tape measure. Let's see what the difference is in length and width.
Keeping in mind too that this is the 5-foot bed of the Ranger Raptor.
So we got a 5-foot bed in this truck with the tailgate up, with it down. We're looking at 7 feet, just like you said. 56 inches, so almost 5 feet wide as well. So people say they don't make them like they used to. This truck probably won't last 93 years. Probably better at holding wood.
Are you getting in on that side, Tommy?
So this is the problem Case alluded to earlier. Is the handbrake is right in the way. So to get in,
It's a little awkward. Yeah, I kind of kicked my leg in first. Let's see if that works.
oh yeah, look at that. Oh man,
Jeez.
this is great.
It's going well.
Oh, my family jewels, not having kids.
Huh.
That's okay. The comments say I don't need to reproduce anyways. They're probably right. Whew.
Nice. elegant.
I will admit it was a little bit of a failed experiment because,
They didn't have the thing we needed.
yeah, I don't really know how the Ace doesn't have any 4x8s, but I think we sufficiently proved that the bed is larger in the new one.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's an issue of
To be
measuring.
hit by a train in your case? Listen, but if we had to haul a much smaller piece of plywood for the next 50 years,
Yeah.
this is where it's at.
Well, and you know, ultimately, if you were really motivated enough, you could move 4x8 sheets of plywood with this. There's people in India that move entire box trucks worth of things on mopeds.
True.
So
Very true.
you could figure it out, but it's not ideal. As small as the bed is on that Ranger, it's still in a lot of ways more useful than this one. But this truck is good at other things. No one came up to that Ranger and said, wow, that's a really cool truck,
We had 3 people do that with our Model T.
in the span of like 5 minutes.
Well, folks, let us know what you think in the comment section below.
Yeah, that's all for this video, and we should have some more Model T videos coming up very soon. There's even a video proposed, and we'll see if it happens, about trying to take this Model T skiing.
I think we should do it. I think we should get you on wooden skis.
Yeah, I have a pair of skis from the 80s I could ski on.
Perfect. Well, let us know what you guys think. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.